deceased persons from this tragic incident. Again, our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims of this incident that could have been completely avoided. And it's very tragic, and that's not what our community is. I'm confident that we're going to overcome this, as Graham Link always overcomes these type of incidents. I'd also like to acknowledge the heroism of not only...
Hold that thought. All right, Shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to all the brothers and few sisters out there. Unto the foreigners from the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Shalom in the Hebrew, which means peace. Here's another one. This is what I kind of aspire. Not this stupid commercial. This is but this particular video kind of inspired me to do this video, and it got me thinking about something through the spirit. All right. It's fair use, all that good stuff. I'm just using this for educational purpose. So I'm using this guy's reference because he had said something. When exactly he said it, I'm not too sure, but let's keep in mind, this all happened today, and it's been going on in a trend.
Time is that we believe that this was a targeted location. We appear that he acted in what we call a lone wolf. He acted alone. This is highly premeditated from what we're seeing at this time, and we feel there are no other threats to our community, that we do have someone in custody.
Police in North Carolina giving an update moments ago on the shooting at a waterfront bar in that state. The suspect has been arrested and is going to be charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. And with that, we welcome you inside, everybody. This is Fox News Live. I'm Kevin Cork in Washington. Police say the gunman opened fire on a busy restaurant from a nearby boat along the river. 3 people dying in that shooting. At least 5 others were wounded. Madison Scarpino has the very latest for us this afternoon. Maddie.
Yeah, Kevin, it's awful. Imagine just having food and drinks on the water, listening to live music, enjoying your Saturday night, and then someone in a boat starts shooting up the place. That's what happened last night in Southport, North Carolina. As you mentioned, 3 people now dead. At least 5 more are injured. We know some are fighting for their life. And we just got an update from local officials who say that the suspect is 40-year-old Nigel Edge.
This suspect identifies as a combat veteran. He self-identifies injured in the line of duty is what he's saying. He suffers from PTSD. We want to point those facts out. He acted alone. This is highly premeditated from what we're seeing at this time.
This is Edge's mugshot from overnight.
And what do you see here? Now let's say let me go to the other one. It was on Instagram. This is the other guy that did the shooting in Michigan, the Michigan church. What do you see here?
And the suspect is a 40-year-old male from the city of Bergen, who we identified as Thomas Jacob Sanford. That's Thomas Jacob Sanford, SANFORD. And the suspect is a...
So this is the other guy, right? And there's countless other situations where these people are losing it. So there's something that he said that kind of triggered everything. So we see the picture. Let's see what he...
Hey. Right, so you got that, and then themselves or protect themselves that don't even around 40 years old. This man is around 40 years old. This is why I don't trust anybody. By default, I have no trust for people that I don't know.
Restaurant.
It's just because I've been trained as a man from my father to never sit with your back to the wall, because you never know when a situation may jump off like something like this. Let's get the rest of the story, and then we're going to come back and...
Which he's absolutely true. He was saying that you got to be cautious, very cautious out there. And he admitted something, even in the comment board. I don't know if I'm going to get it.
Make sure that I always sit my back.
Either if I can find it.
It's a bad.
There is no rehabilitation for a person that goes out and kills and shoots everybody inside of a restaurant. In my opinion, there is no possibility of rehabilitation when you take a whole bunch of people's lives that you don't know, and it wasn't a self-defense situation. There is no rehabilitation, and so I'm very clear on that. I think that that's a conversation that we should probably have. I think we had it on After Hours.
Well, I'm not gonna. Somebody's not gonna find it, but I'm gonna read what somebody said in the comment board, which he had agreed, which he said it out of his mouth. I don't feel like going through this whole thing, but we know why it's happening. We know exactly why it's happening. All right. So you read the comment board. Everybody's saying the same thing. I think it is not a black or a white issue. It's an evil versus good. And he says, I agree, Anton. Demonic spirits, Satan, have taken control of these individuals. And that's why he said he believed that it's a spiritual thing that's going on, which is obviously is. But there's a common denominator. All right. He's just basically saying that people are being possessed. And all we saying is the people that's being possessed that's doing these things, that's just their nature of doing things. In other words, when it comes to black Latinos and Native Americans, they are wicked. There's some wicked, evil mother effers out there, but they're not the wicked. All right, spirits jumps on them, but these people, their spirit was just this. They just find the opportunity to manifest, and they're manifesting. So I was like, what is really, we already know. I'm not even gonna ask that question, but this is what scripture came to my mind. If I get to this, Isaiah 45 and 7, it says, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. Automatic, we already know the Most High, Yahweh, created Yahweh Shai, right? Which Yahweh Shai created everything. And Yahweh Shai right now, I'm giving all credence and credit to Hebrews. Let me go to Hebrews real quick. Hebrews 1, about 3. Actually, 2. Having these last days spoken unto us by his Son. I gotta go on. Yahweh, who has Hebrews 1 and 1. Yahweh, who has sundry times and diverse manners, spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets, have in these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he have appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds. So Yahweh Shai is responsible for making everything. So the Most High gets the credit, obviously, because he's the Most High. The thoughts came from him. Yahweh Shai put the workforce. So the Lord said he created good and evil. Good, meaning godly. Evil, bad times. So the Lord is the one that's creating the bad times. The Lord is also in control of all the spirits. Let me get that real quick. Colossians 7. Is it 1 and 7? Salakia. 1 and 15. Who is the image of the invisible power, the firstborn of every creature? For by him were all things created in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities. So the spirits or powers, all things were created by him and for him. So Yahushua created all these things, and Yahushua is in control. This is why the Lord said out of his own mouth, Luke 12 and 49, says, I come to send fire on the earth. And what will I, if it already be kindled? So the fire that he's sending on the earth, obviously, is the ultimate ICBM nuclear missile. But the fire, he's starting all these things that's happening on the earth. So why is the Lord creating all these things? Period. Let me get this real quick. Isaiah 19, jumping down, and I'm going to come back up. 19 and 14. The Lord have mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and that caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. So he's mingled a perverse backward spirit in the midst of what? Babylon, Egypt. All right. Egypt is America. Babylon, America. So the Lord have mingled this perverse spirit in the midst thereof. Okay. And time, these things, these spirits, that's what the scripture says. I'm not going to get it. Well, actually, I have to get it since I'm talking about it. Sirach 30, Sirach 39 and 27. It says, I'm sorry, 28. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. So the Lord also created spirits that was there for vengeance. All right. We already live in America. I'm just going to quote this scripture, which is the valley of the shadow of death. All right. Like it says in Job 10 and 21, the land that is, I have to get it because I'm not quoting it correctly. Job 10, 21 or 22? 22. It says, a land of darkness as darkness itself, and of the shadow of death without any order. And where the light is as darkness. So this land is dark. This is why I'm just going to quote that. Isaiah 60 and 2 says, gross darkness to people. So everybody out here, if they're not spiritually inclined of knowing anything, they have a perverse spirit. They got a demon on them. Okay? And that demon, just a matter of time before those demons hatch. But there's, like I said, there's the wicked who just a matter of time before they let loose. It doesn't take much. They have a history of being that way. Now, I was thinking about it the whole time. I was watching these little videos of going back to Captain Kirk before he went into the Enterprise, and the last thing that came out of his mouth was when somebody asked him a question, and the question was, "What do you say? What do you think about mass shootings?" He said, and he said it proudly, right? And he said it with such pride. He said, "Oh, does that include gang violence?" And bam, the thing happened. If it was real, fake, whatever, I believe it was real. I believe certain things of it was real because he kept, his whole campaign was mocking the Lord's people. This is how I gotta go this one real quick. Psalms. Amazing how people think shit at our downfall, they think that they can, what's what I'm looking for? They could mock us because they consistently mock Jake, right? Psalms 50, I started at 16. The point is at 20. It says, but unto the wicked the Most High saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes? Or that shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? seeing thy hatest instruction, cast my words behind thee. So this is supposed to be a God-fearing country, a God-fearing land, and all this other stuff. They do not a thing for the Most High, nor His Son, or any of that sort. This is a land that is filled with utter wickedness. All right. So, but they say, in God we trust, right? And it says, when thou seest a thief, thou consistest with him. In other words, they agree when they see a thief, somebody. This is why everybody's in this warped mindset. All right, closed mouth don't get fed. You got to take yours. Everybody's a gangster. All this other. I got that. They got that from Esau. They all got that from Esau. Esau got this nation in the most gangsterous way that you can do it. All right. They didn't win battles. They slaughtered. They did germ warfare. They did all it took to take what they want. That's why the majority of them walk around say what? Oh, our forefathers conquered this land. No, you stole this land. And if the Lord didn't reduce Jake's energy per Native Americans, you will never have the opportunity to get within the other tribes. All right. So you take the Lord's. They got this land. They take everything that the Lord put, and they throw it behind them. Right. It says Slakia, and it says where was I? Oh, and has been partakers of adulterers, that giveth thy mouth to evil, thy tongue frameth deceit. So the whole statistics, I was going to look for it, but everybody knows the statistics that the great talking point, 13% of the United States population, which is supposed to be African Americans, cause the most death or the most crimes. They say 50% of the crimes. That's framing deceit. That's the narrative that's being spun. Okay? And it says, thou sittest and speak of evil. Let me say, thou sittest and speak of against thy brother, which is Israel. So Esau speaking ill against the Israelites, making the Israelites look like they're bad, like they're the most vilest people on the planet Earth. But the evidence consistently showing now on a regular day basis who is the evil. You can't trust these people. This is why Anton Daniel's talking about, oh, when I go to a restaurant, I have my back turned. Yeah, you always got to have your head in the swivel in America, because it's a violent land. Look who's running it. Okay, and it says, and I slanders thy brothers, that slander thy mother's sons. So the whole campaign is about how every single day you watch and see gang violence or this, that, to the third. Hey, even right now, Portland, Trump is sending troops last night. He sent troops last night. He said for them to exercise the full strength or something like that. Why? Because the uproars of the people that believe they have rights and they could do no wrong, that they think the world's coming to end, is the same people that's causing all these problems. So now I was thinking about it, like, the Lord is bad. Now I'm gonna bring out some quick couple historic thing. Oh yeah, let me get this one real quick. Everything that's written is written for our learning, right? Matter of fact, let me start here. Isaiah 19, go back to 19 and 2 now. It says, I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother. Right? So if you know the history of the Most High Yahweh, when the Lord want to make a statement, he make a statement. This is why Yahushua said also, if Satan be divided against himself, how can his kingdom stand? And in sight of when they took down everything, when they took down everyone, it was a united front. And the Lord, throughout process of time, when he want to get back at the enemies of Israel, he made them turn against one another. So a couple of stories real quick. Matter of fact, Psalms, since I said that, 35 and 5 or 6. It says, "Let them be as shaft before the wind, and let the angel of the Lord chase them. Let their way be dark and slippery. Let the angel of the Lord persecute them." Because why? David was praying because the enemies of David were coming against him as a confederate. All right. So David prayed that the enemies be in darkness. Remember, the key thing is darkness. So we live in a country that's pure dark. Even though they think that they're doing right, it's still darkness. Right? So the Lord's about to, which we all know, the Lord's about to make the Egyptians come against the Egyptians. And this is not the first time the Lord did this. A couple of scriptures. Judges 7 and 22. Matter of fact, this is Gideon. And it says, 21, "And they stood everyone in his place round about the camp. All the host ran and cried and fled. And the 300 blew the trumpets, and the Lord set every man's sword against his fellow. Even throughout all the hosts, and the hosts fled to Beth Shittah and Zerath and the border of Abel Abel Mehole and unto Tababath. So the Lord, when He allowed Gideon to make 300, it wasn't because these 300 men was going to do that much damage. No, He took that number and He did something that's a miracle. All right, X amount of people coming against you, and they turn on one another, right? And this is throughout history. Like I said, 2 Chronicles 20. I go to the point. Well, I'm gonna jump. It says, "It came to pass after this also the children of Moab and the children of Ammon and with other beside the Amorites came against Jehoshaphat to battle." So they made a conglomerate. They came together to come against the children of Israel, right? I'm jumping down because it's a long read. Verse 23. For the children of Ammon and for the children of Ammon and Moab stood up against the inhabitants of Mount Seir, utterly slain, because they had an agreement. They had a alliance, utterly to slay and destroy them. And when they had made an end of the inhabitants of Seir, everyone helped to destroy another. So the Lord has a history of having quote unquote alliances coming against each other. And why did they do that? Matter of fact, I was supposed to read up Slakia. That's what I was supposed to read up. Verse 22. "And when they began to sing the praise of the Lord, Israel the Lord set an ambushment against the children of Ammon, Moab, and Mount Seir, which were come against Judah, and they were smitten." So the ambush that the Lord set was them killing one another. Here it is, alliances killing one another. Okay, so the Lord gets down in a certain way. We're outnumbered, we're outclassed, we're outgunned, everything like that. But every time these nations speak against the children of Israel, no matter how it is, the Lord knows how to shut them up. So now you have a white on white killing spree going on. All right. Here's another one. Second Kings. Is it 6 and no, actually I gotta go up. 2 Kings 6 and all right, I'm gonna start at 17. I'll start at 16. It said, he answered, fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them. This is when the army of the Assyrians came against Israel. All right. They came to they came to get Elisha. So they sent an army to get Elisha. Here it is, a man of the Lord. They sent an army against him. And Elisha's understudy was like, my Lord, how are we gonna get out of this situation? And he's like, look, don't worry. He says, he prayed, and this is it. He said, Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I prayed thee open his eyes that he may see. And the Lord opened his eyes of the young man, and he slew, and behold, a mountain. The mountains were full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha, which is the mountains, and the chariots was represent the angels, which are what today modern the UFOs, right? And when they came down to him, Elisha prayed unto the Lord and said, smite this people, I pray thee, with blindness. And he smote them with blindness according to the word of Elisha. So who did they blinded? They blinded the Assyrians. All right. That's who they blinded. So what did the Assyrians end up doing? And it says, and Elisha said unto them, this is not the way, neither is this the city. Follow me, and I will bring you to the man whom you seek. But he led them to Samaria. So here it is. They came for Elisha, and the Lord blinded an entire army. So you think the Lord is not blinding the Esau? You think the Lord's not blinding the enemies of Israel? That he's not preparing them for their own slaughter? Okay, we give a lot of credits and credence to Esau. Like, yeah, they got MK Ultra, they got this, they got that. We give too much credit. It's the Lord that's blinding them. It's the Lord that's putting them this. Let me get to this one right here. Psalms 73 and 8 says, surely thou didst set them in the slippery places, that cast them down into destruction. The whole entire front was, especially when Captain Kirk and his whole movement was, they coming together and so forth. And look at that. The Lord's turning their own people against their own selves. The Lord can blind. The Lord already blinded the majority of people in America. All right. Going back to Isaiah 60 and 2. The gross darkness of the people. We already living in a land that's filled with demonic forces. All right. Let's go to Ephesians 6 and 10. It tells you, actually Ephesians 6 and 12, it tells you that we wrestle not against flesh and blood. All right. When with spiritual things that everybody's wrestling. We get it. So when the scripture tells you about civil war and all this other stuff and the hatred that everybody has for one another, you can clearly see it. It's not people don't want to fight each other or take each other's lives, or especially if your own kind. Is the Lord is putting that spirit on people. That's a father of spirits we're dealing with. And it says, Ephesians 6 and 12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So this is a beacon of wickedness. So this whole entire United States of America is a dark place, the valley of shadow of death. And the Lord has put in these people in the position to slip. All right. They're slipping in their own nets, like the scripture said. They're slipping on their own nets. Everything that they've been saying is always the Lord is hitting them, and that's why we got to be spiritual with this. gotta see it for what it is. Second Ezra 6 and was it 24? Oh yes, 24. And it says, matter of fact, Second Ezra 6 and I should start at. I'll start at 19. I will begin to make the inquisition of them, and what they be that have hurt unjustly with their own unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled. So, what is the affliction of Zion? Who is Zion? Is Israel? It's done. We've been done. Is they doing overtime? So that's why the scripture says what? Roughly paraphrasing, they will touch you apple of my eye. Oh, what was it? Amos 1:11. No, not through transgression. There's another one when the Lord basically said, roughly paraphrasing, a time of affliction it was done and over with, but yet these people continuously they torture us. They do certain things. All right. Esau has the power to stop a lot of things, but he allowed it to happen. They allow it to happen. Why? Because they want us to destroy ourselves, put us in a bad condition. So the same trapping that they've been doing when it came to the drugs, there was drugs in the neighborhood. How did drugs get there? And as soon as it slipped into their spot, everything goes. That's Deuteronomy 30:7. The curses that's upon us is going on to them now, and now they want to cry and bitch and moan. And it says, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then will I show these tokens. The books shall be opened before the firmament. It's not talking about a giant book. It's going to be the judgment. The judgments coming on the earth. It said, and they shall see all together. And the children of a year shall speak with their voices, and the women with children shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months, and they shall live and be raised up. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, and the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. So these was just prophecies that was waiting to happen in order to bring in this next phase, which we all know what they're trying, at least is pushing, civil war. You got with Trump and these tariffs, less things are coming in. So you have places that were filled up. Now these places, all of a sudden, they use up all the reserves, so the prices, hyperinflation is about to go skyrocket. All right, this place went from a living good, the roaring 20s. You jump. I gotta, to the last good time was probably the 80s, when they was making countless money. The wealth gap was beyond recognition. To now, everybody's suffering. Everybody's suffering. And now everybody's going to suffer more because of these certain laws that's been passed, period. So that it was already set. It says, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. And at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, which is what? Leading to civil war. All these acts, which is going to lead to civil war, but all these acts is coming of their own. They're destroying their own kind. Why? Because the Lord blinded them. All right. He blinded them of their reasoning. They can't even reason with themselves. All they see is red. Okay. This is a very spiritual thing that's happening right now. Once again, they've been talking ish about Jake, Chicago, this, that, to the third. Oh, Nick, black on black crime, which we all know is factual, and we know why. But they act like Jake was the worst thing. Now the Lord's flipping the script. Don't worry, Jake is gonna do what Jake does. We're still gonna find videos or some form of thing where Jake is just doing it because they all going back to Isaiah 19, 19 and 2. The Egyptians shall go against the Egyptians. Jake have fully embraced this mindset. So they're gonna go turn on one another. But the Lord is really putting that spirit heavy on everybody. All right. And it says, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein, and the springs, which it goes to something different, but I just wanted to, this is 2nd Ezra 15. And I start at 10. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. And now the people are led to the slaughter, right? Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has allowed this man to have full autonomy over his people. But the Lord's not going to allow this no more. It said, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm and smite Egypt with the plagues as before, and I will destroy all the land thereof. Hey, and one of the main plagues that hit Egypt, the darkness. All right, they couldn't even see in front of their hands. It was gross darkness. It tells you in Wisdom of Solomon. So these people are in gross darkness. They're just exiting each other out, and they don't know what they're doing. All right, because Esau is a demon. Jake just get demons jump on Jake, but Esau is a demon. So the Lord is bringing these plagues upon Egypt. It says, as before, and I will destroy the land thereof. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague. All right, and the punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting in hell with the fearful constellation, which is ICBM nuclear missiles coming to destroy this place. They're gonna have there's nothing gonna be left in this place. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. So ultimately, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is the one that brings in the divide and conquer method. Esau just practiced it on earth. But the Lord is the one that's causing great division in the house of Esau. Okay? Which is ultimately going to lead to civil wars. Because now you have what? Edomite on Edomite crime going on an all-time high, well known. And then they look the same, and yet they're destroying one another from political views or whatever the case may be. So this man the Lord has completely blinded these people to destroying themselves. Beautiful, man. So with that being said, that's all I want to, just a few thoughts. That's why it's good to read the history, because the Lord did that plenty of times. All right. Alliances, killing one another. Hey, even World War II, III, we're not there yet, but two, in most wars, a lot of people kill each other in friendly fire. That's what they call it. People that's fighting your side, you kill them. They're killing each other. So the Lord is doing that right here in the shores of America. So with that being said, shalom to the elect, the nation is shalom.